Conor McGlone, Utility Week. I'm here with Sir Ian Byatt, former head of Ofwat. Sir Ian, I'd just like to ask you, if you had the chance right now to be head of Ofwat again, what would you do differently?
Well, actually, not a lot, I think, because I think the key thing that I tried to do was to make it work. Privatisation was extremely unpopular. I got letters from my colleagues saying, what a terrible idea, but I'm glad you're doing the job. But I was determined to try and do the job so that privatisation worked and worked in the interests of the customer. Now, of course, there are a number of detailed things I would have done differently. For example, my first price review, I believe, was too soft. My second price review was tough enough. What we should have had was a situation where there was an immediate increase in prices of something like 25% or so, and then stability in prices, and that would have given the industry a much better situation. So I think I learned, of course, that you had to be very careful in encouraging customers, and that you had to have a constituency, and the customer was your constituency. So this was, in a way, a slightly new thing, because most government policy is not really concerned with customers, however much they talk about it. But we were trying to lead this industry into a new consumer-dominated world.
Where can you see the water industry being in 25 years from now?
Well, I think it will continue to be run privately because it's better. So the supply should be private, but of course it's got to fit in with public objectives. And that means the regulation has to work well, the regulation has to stay simple. The industry, of course, has to adopt much more in the way of competition, particularly at the retail end, which has happened already in Scotland for all non-household customers. There needs to be more trading of water so that we don't suffer the kind of water shortages which we've had, and we need to ensure that there is continued environmental improvement at an affordable rate.
So renationalisation you don't think is on the cards?
I don't think renationalisation would make any sense. I don't think that ministers are good at the actual running of industries. Of course, ministers have to be determining what the final objective should be. But somebody else needs to do the management, somebody else needs to do the regulation.
Thank you. I'm here with Lord Moynihan, and I would like to talk to you about water metering. You said that you faced a lot of opposition 25 years ago, especially in places like the Isle of Wight, where you were trying to instigate water metering. And I just wondered how far you thought that had come now.
Well, firstly, we set up a number of trials, and these were for compulsory metering. And you were right, they weren't popular. The Isle of Wight was one of the metered areas, up in the north, Normanton was another. And going up to try and win support for people to test water metering was not easy and led to quite a lot of public opposition. Having said that, since then, over the last 25 years, clearly we've made significant progress in terms of metering, particularly in drought-prone areas, and that's been very important as a stepping stone. Now we're still behind most of our OECD competitors. We're improving about 2% per annum increase in the use of meters, but we're a long way from where I'd like to be. I think that this will continue, and I hope it's given a push. Water metering is an excellent way of saving water, but it's also an effective way of monitoring leakage. And I think that we'll move on from normal metering to smart metering. And smart metering will be particularly important when it comes to opening up competition in the retail side of the business to non-household consumers from 2017 onwards.
How far do you think we are away from universal metering, whether smart or
a long way?
metering?
I mean, I'd like to see us move to universal metering. I mean, I think that we should continue in that direction, but I don't think it's going to happen for the next. It's difficult to name how many years it will be, but certainly in the foreseeable future, we're not going to get there.
Do you think customer perception on metering has changed at all?
Definitely, and I think it will. With the opening up of the business side to retail competition, because I think a lot of people working in businesses will see that universal metering effectively in the business world has real benefits in terms of saving costs and identifying leaks. And I think that will move increasingly into the household sector, and more people will respond significantly more favourably than when I had to go down to try and sell the concept of these metered trials back in 1990.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.